Oh, okay. Yeah, that's what they say about Sam Bradford too, right?
Yeah, right, exactly. Oh, he's a first-round pick. It doesn't matter. Okay. Welcome in, everybody. Welcome in to Bleeding Purple, a podcast about the Minnesota Vikings. My name is Tyler Haig. I am joined, as always, by Mr. Adam Patrick. Hello, good sir. How are you?
Pretty good. Going into the bye week on a nice win, convincing. Win.
Yes, convincing is a great way to put it. It's hard for me to say impressive because I don't know if that's the right description.
Defense.
Convincing. The defensive line was very impressive. 10 sacks. It's a record for this football team.
I think I just looked it up. 36 pressures. It's pretty good.
Man, yeah, real good.
I think Griffin, Hunter, and Richardson all had at least 6 pressures.
Good.
So that's pretty good. From 3 guys, you get 18 pressures on the quarterback.
Yeah, that's not bad at all.
And the Lions offensive line, it's not like it's horrible.
No, up to that point, it had been pretty decent.
Yeah, I think they
actually.
had like 13 or 14 sacks on the year.
Yes.
It's too bad. 8 games.
So think about that. In 8 games, they allowed, I think it was 13 sacks. And in 1 game, gave up 10.
It might have had a little something to do with, Matt Stafford not having his number 1 target anymore in Golden Tate, but, whatever.
But, I mean, it's all about the future.
Still impressive. Danielle Hunter just looked like a monster, even more than he already did.
If that's possible.
Yeah.
But it was, evidently.
It's crazy how he can do all that stuff, especially since he has a girl's name, but,
one of my favorite things when he first got drafted and they would ask Mike Zimmer about him, he would kind of give a mushmouth version of Danil every time.
I think he calls him Danil now.
Yeah. I love it.
Which is another name.
And he also, I noticed that with Avion Collins as well, because, we know the pronunciation is heavily debated there, obviously. He just calls him AC because that's easier than trying to pronounce dudes.
Big guy.
Yep, exactly. 10 sacks. What else did I want to talk about in that game? The pressures were impressive. Oh, real quick, leading receiver for the Vikings, our favorite wide receiver by a mile, Laquan Treadwell, led the team in receiving in this football game. Receiving yards. Statistically speaking, he was the best.
Did you want to talk about what those yards were? Do you want to divulge that? Because I'm pretty sure it was under 40.
They were on 2 catches, by the way.
Pretty sure it was
tough yards.
Sure, it was 38 yards.
And they had, by the way, a guy who got over 100 yards the first, 8 games in a row. So a little bit surprising to see the passing offense. I don't think it wasn't bad, but it wasn't great. Kirk Cousins only threw for, it was just a tick over 100 yards. And but they won.
Yeah, I just looked. He only threw 5 passes over 10 yards the whole game. But it wasn't but they didn't need him to.
Yeah.
They didn't need the passing offense to be explosive. They obviously wanted to run the ball because the Lions' defense is not that great at stopping the run, and obviously that worked. There's a couple plays where you scratched your head with Kirk Cousins.
Yes.
Maybe not. I don't think as much as there have been in the past, but he didn't have as many attempts. That interception was just pretty bad.
Did you hear his explanation on it though?
I did.
So
I can't watch his press conferences anymore. He's so boring. It's worse than Case Keenum.
He's tough to listen to, and he's
I heard something about a white tiger yesterday. He mentioned called Delvin Cook that, and I'm like, could you chill out on the motivational speaking videos, dude?
He's something else, man. And it's year 1, and I already am oh God, with this guy.
Yeah, there's really no difference between listening to him speak and Rick Spielman speak because you're just going to get nothing out of both.
Yes, they're both talking, but neither are saying anything of.
This was Zimmer. Immediately after a game, he'll be like, We suck. We're horrible.
Yes, Zimmer after the game is like the filter kind of goes away, but the other guys, they got no filter. Cousins, he fumbles again. What were we talking about?
That wasn't his fault.
No, it wasn't. His explanation for the interception was that he gave all the it was a single high safety and it was this kind of a look. But basically what he was saying was the guy that wound up picking the ball off was a veteran corner who left his route to take the ball away from
Still
the
looked
route
like
that
triple coverage to me.
it did, because when he threw the ball, he was thinking the guy wasn't going to go. So the explanation, honestly, I was like, okay, that at least makes sense. That you at least acknowledge that the guy was there and he wasn't supposed to be. Because from what it looked like on my side, from my angle, was you just threw the ball up for grabs and there's like 4 defenders.
Did he say he shouldn't have made that throw? Because that's all he should have said.
I'm not sure if he said that.
Just bite the bullet and just be like, I shouldn't make that throw. It's something I got to fix.
Instead
of being like, well, the safety, he made a good play on the ball.
Yeah.
Just be like, I can't make that throw. That's it. Done.
And that's what he should have said. Do you think
he did that about the interception with Diggs last week when Diggs stopped his route? He kind of said Diggs stopped his route, but I know everyone knows that that's what happened, but I feel like at the same time, Cousins should have been like, yeah, he might have stopped his route, but I shouldn't have made that throw either.
Yeah, that one I think is that one you should never have thrown that ball if you're Cousins. I'm totally on your side there. I think that one he has to own up on. This one I can at least get how he was like, well, I threw the ball and he wasn't there. He left the guy he was guarding to take the ball away. It was a smart play on his part. At yeah, should he have thrown the ball? It's up for debate. You could make a great case for not throwing the ball there.
Yeah, he was at least earlier in the game, he was definitely trying to force the ball to Thielen. That was pretty obvious.
Yeah,
because I feel like there's some guys that were easier throws he could have made, but because Thielen was there on the field, even though he was double covered, Cousins was just like, I'll get it to him. But
do you feel like he's got a little bit of that for Laquan Treadwell too? I feel like he's got a little bit of that for Laquan Treadwell. I feel like Cousins wants Laquan to be productive. I think he will try and get him the ball in certain instances.
He's trying, but I think he's starting to learn that it's just not really doing much, no matter how many targets or passes he throws his way.
Yeah.
Because how many you said he had he led the team receiving with 38 yards yesterday.
Yep.
How many times has Thielen had 38 yards in a quarter this year?
Yeah, a bunch. A number. Here's the most interesting angle to the Laquan Treadwell conundrum is why wasn't Beebe? Why weren't these guys? Why haven't we seen anybody besides Treadwell? Is the question to me.
I think it might have had to do something with health on the rest of the roster. Like they probably felt there were needs more to activate people from the practice squad or sign guys off the.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. And then deactivating Treadwell to get him on doesn't make any sense.
When you have Diggs and Thielen out there, adding another receiver is probably not your top priority.
Yeah, good call. No, that makes sense. That is honestly that's like the most valid explanation.
But I think his dad, Chad Beebe. Well, Don Beebe.
Yeah.
But Chad Beebe's dad said that he's been like the practice squad player of the week for like the past 3 weeks. So they've been, waiting for this to happen. I mean, yeah, it's the practice squad player of the week. But
yeah.
Zimmer also said, that they've been trying to get him activated. But yeah, I think it had to do with other positions being in more need than the receiver.
That would make sense. And I remember hearing on one of his little scheduled radio things, DeFilippo brought BB up a couple 3 weeks ago, unprompted.
They like him.
And yeah.
They've said a bunch of times that no one can cover him in practice.
Yeah.
So,
you know who else they said that about, Adam?
Randy Moss.
Adam Thielen.
Yeah, well, look at him now.
And he's a rock star these days.
Yeah.
Beebe, that was impressive. What do you think his role on this team is going to be? Do we expect a bigger role for Beebe and a smaller role for Treadwell, being that this is the bye week and we're maybe going to let's open this up to a little bit bigger conversation. What do you think are some changes that they will make into the bye week and out of the bye week, and what are some changes you would maybe want them to make
I would like to see BB more time on the field. I think he can be a weapon. I heard somebody say yesterday that he can be sort of like at least this year, be sort of like a Jarius Wright kind of player where, on third down or yesterday fourth down, if you need someone to just get open, he's a guy that can do that.
Yeah.
Especially because he's probably going to be covered by like the third or fourth corner on the team or a linebacker like that. He's kind of a shifty guy that just finds a way to get open.
Oh, you nailed it. Buzzword. Remember that word, though. Shifty is the new trait that wide receivers, that the NFL is going to look for in their wide receivers. So you're going to see dudes from like Louisiana Tech and stuff be higher draft picks because that's what they're looking for, is smaller, shiftier like dudes.
Cooper Kupp and guys like that. But yeah, I would like to see them involve him more, but will they do that? I'm not so sure, just because of the experience I guess Treadwell has in the offense. What he can offer them as a run blocker, especially if David Morgan is missing time.
Because he's taller is basically all that I'm like hearing.
Pretty much.
I don't mean like that to like disparage what you're saying, but it's like, it just feels like he's like, well, he's bigger, so he's going to play more.
And because he's a first-round pick. Let's not act like that's not a big reason of why he's still on the field. Why he's still on the Vikings. If he wasn't a first-round pick, I don't think he'd even be on the roster.
You beat me to it. I bet if he's a second-round pick, he's not on the roster this year. No chance.
Not the third receiver.
Oh, what are we going to do with this Treadwell thing?
If you say that to people, some people want to be like, well, don't worry about that. That was a while ago. Why should that be his expectations now? Because that's what the expectations you're given when you're a first-round pick. You're supposed to be, live up to a player that, potentially can go to the Pro Bowl every year if you're a first-round pick. That's what comes with those expectations. And if you don't like that, then don't strive to be a first-round pick.
That's, it's like, it reminds me of the Christian Ponder argument where it was like, well, it wasn't his choice to be the first round pick. And it's like, no, and it wasn't, but he's a football player. And and that's the expectation. That's the level that you're at. They picked you. They thought you were worth it. It ain't up to you, buddy. I'm sorry, Laquan Treadwell, that we got to be more like difficult and hard on you because you're a first round pick. But bro, you're a first round pick. You know who else was a first round pick? Adrian Peterson. Like, you ain't good like that, bub. Come on. We need more from you. And I think we don't expect superstardom. We just expect productivity and no stupid penalties. Can't get it. Can't find it.
He's never had a game of over 51 receiving yards in his entire career. It's not like he just started playing. So when people get mad for others getting, quote unquote tough on Laquan Treadwell, don't get mad, because he deserves every bit of criticism that he gets, because as a first-round pick, he should be playing like Adam Thielen 3 years into his career.
I don't even if you were to take the first-round pick away from the conversation, say he wasn't a first-round pick, look at his productivity, look at how often he is on the field, look at how many years he's been on the team.
Yep.
Anybody we would be demanding more productivity from,
At this point, is he really different from when the Vikings had Charles Johnson? Like, is there a whole lot of difference between? I think Johnson was a little faster, but like their productivity on the field, is there really that much of a difference between the two? I don't think so.
Who was the Wallace character that they
Mike
had
Wallace?
For a hot minute? Yeah, that's what it feels like. Where it's like, okay, cool, this didn't work. See ya. Maybe you will be better fit someplace else. But
they're going to have to. The Vikings during the offseason are going to have to figure out if they want to pick up his fifth-year option. I think that's a clear, obvious no.
You got to think. What do you percentage-wise? That's got to be like a 5% chance right now that they
will. Yeah, unless he for some reason starts to pick up his play or catch a bunch of red zone touchdowns. Which is fine if he does, but
and that's the other thing is like it feels like people are assuming that we are rooting against it. Incorrect. I would love for Laquan Treadwell to be their best wide receiver right now. I would love that.
Just because you criticize someone for, stuff that they're not doing doesn't mean that you don't like them. We criticize Kirk Cousins all the time. We criticize Stephon Diggs last week for stopping his route. We criticized Thielen last week for fumbling. what
We're equal opportunity criticizers on this show. We criticize everybody. We don't care.
Sorry that Treadwell just messes up a lot more, or isn't as productive as those other players.
Yes, that's the way to put it too. Isn't as productive. It's not. Yeah. Okay. So Beebe, that was exciting. I'm very, very excited.
It's a good
Beebe.
first impression. I think.
Yes. I think the goal should be going through the bye and into the game against Chicago. The goal should be to get more packages where you have that as your wide receiver look, where it's Diggs, Thielen, Beebe, and
like you said yesterday,
I like Robinson. I think Robinson deserves to be playing more than
he's a good
Treadwell does.
Chuck it down the field every a few times a game. I think you mentioned it yesterday that Beebe fits the Vikings, like what they want to do on offense, I think better than Treadwell. Get the quick guys that can just get open. Like you don't need to box people out like Treadwell basically does pretty much to get open every time.
Yeah.
Because Diggs and Thielen are some of the best, just at running routes and just breaking defenders' ankles and stuff. And I think
getting separation just off of a normal.
I think we talked about BB before training camp even started.
Yes.
Like I watched film of him. Like his stats, I think he played at Northern Illinois. His stats were not the most amazing, but you watch film of him, and the dude just gets open. And like every time he gets the ball in his hands, he makes so many guys miss, and that's something it's a skill you can't really teach.
Yeah,
like it's one you can improve on and get better at, but some guys can just run routes really well, and others can't.
Yes, and I think we're entering now kind of a new era of NFL football. So I feel like there are going to be a lot of guys that you're going to see from smaller colleges who are maybe a little bit undersized, who maybe in previous seasons or years ago would not have even been looked at as a possible NFL player, who because of their skill set, the shiftiness, the quickness, the good route running, et cetera, I think guys like that are going to get found in the later rounds, found as undrafted free agents a lot more frequently in the next few years.
If you can get open and you can catch the ball, it's going to make you a lot of money.
Mm-hmm. And it should. And it'll be great for teams like the Vikings, who have already seemed to have they've kind of shifted. They're giving more money to these undrafted free agents, these guys that they think can fit these. I mean, they look like they're doing the right thing. Is there anything else that you want the Vikings to do going into the bye week, or anything you would like them to change? Anything else? I'm trying to think of.
I would like them to work on like their like third and short situations, because it seemed like
offensively
and the goal line. Yeah, it seems like they pass a lot more than they should.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't understand when you have like 1 or 2 yards to go why you feel like passing the ball is the best option when you can just get everyone together. And I really don't care if you make it or not, but like just make the attempt, because I think we talked about last week how the Vikings are throwing like 90% of the time on third down, and that's ridiculous.
Yeah, that's not going to work, man.
That's because I was watching the Patriots and Packers last night, and it was like 3rd and goal on the 1-inch yard line for the Patriots. And they lined up in shotgun. I'm like, so you lined up 4 yards extra behind the line, and and then they had the same situation the next time, and they ran the ball, and what do you know, they scored.
Yeah, so. It just screams a lack of confidence about your offensive line, and maybe that is the case, but it just like when you have a 3rd and short, to not be able to just line up and run the ball and get it, or even line up and do like if it's 3rd and inches, you just fall forward. You can't fall forward.
Yeah, but like the chances, like people talk about analytics and stuff all the time these days. The chances of getting a touchdown when you're a yard away by passing the ball, that can't be higher than running the ball, especially if you line up in shotgun, right?
I would imagine it's not, but maybe there is a case to be made for, because of the rules and because of
spreading guys out.
Yeah, spreading guys out, and then also the ability to run these like pick plays, these rub plays that are never penalized ever. Like, maybe
but I mean, with a run play, all you gotta do is go straight.
That's it. Yeah, no, I mean, I'm on your side. Like, I get it, but maybe there is like a case to be. I don't know.
Either you get it or you don't.
Has that been bothering you, the pick plays not being called?
No, the goal line stuff's been bothering me because I've seen it with a bunch of teams where they line up in shotgun on the goal line or like 5 receivers, and I'm like, what are you doing?
Yes, it feels like offensive coordinators are like outsmarting themselves, where they're like they think we're gonna run. It's like and they're worried about it because they don't think they can stop it because it's.
And I think like the old head coaches like Zimmer and Belichick are like, stop doing that. Just run the ball.
Just run it. That's all you need to do. Quit complicating this. Yeah, man. It is perplexing to see how goofy things get at the goal line.
I think that's something they got to work on. I think it'll probably we'll see a shift to more running the ball on those situations, especially if Dalvin Cook is in there, because they can even if they line up in a short yardage formation, they can play action to him and just do a little rollout and get a first down and get BB in there and he can sneak in the back.
That's all you got to do. Do a little Wildcat with BB, maybe.
But yeah, like
we know they listen, so shouting it out, Wildcat for BB.
It was last week or a couple weeks ago when it was 3rd and short, and Cousins threw like a couple deep balls to Diggs, and I'm just like, you needed like 2 yards. Why are you throwing 20 yards down the field?
It's so difficult to try and put yourself in the in the thought process of an offensive coordinator, especially, where it's like, what are you thinking? What went into the decision to throw the ball twice on 3rd and short?
That's on Cousins too. His decision. He should know that his chance of getting the first down is probably better if he throws a shorter pass. But
definitely. Well, and here's another great example of not adjusting and not what are you doing if you're the Detroit Lions and you're still trying? That was like Norv Turner-esque. On Sunday.
Trying to drop back.
Kept doing long, deep drops, kept getting destroyed on the offensive line.
I don't know if they knew what to do without Golden Tate out there. I just really don't. I don't know if they're I think they wanted Theo Riddick to kind of do some of the same stuff, but I don't. And I saw today they were working out Brandon Marshall, and I'm like, if you guys needed a receiver, then why did you trade Golden Tate? I understand, I think it's his last year of his contract, and they probably didn't feel like they had a chance at signing him. They just wanted to get something out of him.
Yes.
But
I think that's the case. But still, why would you not take that production at this point?
It feels kind of like you just gave up on the season pretty much.
And you at that point were like a game out of first, right? 2 games out of first place in the division. I mean, they were right there. And then, Ben, I mean, that to me looked like a Lions team that was over it. They just didn't seem to have much interest in.
Is Matt Patricia going to be the head coach next year?
It's really hard to tell because they look at times like it's a mutiny waiting to happen, and then they will beat up on New England or beat Green Bay.
Well,
or it's like
I kind of dismissed that game because I feel like Patricia
had some
obviously
inside info.
Yeah, he probably knew what to do. Who are their other wins over, like the Dolphins and
they beat Green Bay? I'm almost positive.
That doesn't look that impressive anymore.
No, it doesn't really. I mean, let's talk about NFC North a little bit.
They almost lost that game too if it wasn't for their Green Bay's kicker missing 6 field goals.
Yes, they were very close to losing that game. What do you make of? I guess we'll talk about the Bears at the end and kind of transition into the Vikings next game. But Detroit seems to be meh.
Yeah.
Green Bay doesn't seem to have enough. I don't like the argument that they don't have. Yeah, they don't have enough talent. There's a lot of decent football players there,
they've had some tough games.
Yes, and a bunch of I don't want to say bad breaks, but weird calls.
They played the Rams on the road, the Patriots on the road. I think their schedule is probably going to be a little easier than what the Vikings are facing for the rest of the year. So I'm not ready to count out the Packers, especially with Aaron Rodgers back there. I'm never gonna just throw them to the side. I think some people are now, but I'm not even 100% in on the Bears making the playoffs.
Yeah, I don't even know what to think. So let's talk a little bit about the Bears. Up and down, weird. They just beat the poop out of Buffalo, was it not?
Yeah, why couldn't Nathan Peterman play against the Vikings? Come on.
Man, I see the other teams do to the Bills what the Vikings should have done to the Bills, and I think, what could have been? Oh, what could have been? Because could you imagine how different the narrative is?
That's going to come back to. I feel like it's going to come back to haunt the Vikings. They're probably just their luck, they're probably going to finish like one game out of the 2 seed in the NFC.
Yes,
and it's going to be
man.
because of
Yes.
that stupid Bills game.
Yes, because that is what happens to teams. Yeah, man. Good teams don't lose to the Bills. And that, I think, for me, is still like the biggest concern I have going forward is they just don't feel like a contender yet because
Bears?
I'm always, well, both the Bears and the Vikings, is that there's always a game where they're just going to lay an egg waiting to happen. I shouldn't say always, but there's always that fear of them laying
I think
an
if
egg.
the Vikings and Bills played, next week, and even if Josh Allen was the quarterback, that game would be way different.
Totally. I think they play
I
that
think
100 times. They win 95 of them. Honestly.
Probably 99.
For real.
But
did you hear me bail on that? I was like 95.
that was a different. That was in the beginning of the year when obviously there was some different things going on with the Vikings defense that obviously have been fixed since then. So
Josh Allen was a superhero that game. He was leaping over humans, and he was unbelievable.
The Vikings defense didn't play bad that game. They gave up touchdown drives on they're 20-yard touchdown drives.
Yes, because of those turnovers.
The Vikings offensive line they didn't have Elflein. Who was playing left tackle?
It was a disaster that week.
Yeah,
that was that game was terrible. But it's the showdown is on the way. Bears, Vikings, flexed Sunday night showdown. What are you? Is it a showdown? Should this game have been flexed? I'm bummed that it's going to be.
Well, I think the game that was on the slate was the Steelers and Jaguars, so that's why they flexed it. So I don't think anyone wants to see Blake Bortles play at night.
No. God. Do you? What do you make of Trubisky? What do you make of Chicago? I mean, Khalil Mack obviously is incredible, and the defense is pretty good. But is that offense good enough for them to be?
The defense obviously is good. They make plays. Khalil Mack. He hasn't played in a couple games. Yeah, he hasn't played in a couple games, but he should be back by the Vikings game, which is great for the Vikings offensive line.
Of course,
but they've got playmakers on defense. They've done pretty well on special teams too, and they got a couple of playmakers on offense too. But Trubisky, he's gonna probably run into some trouble against the Vikings defense. He's only in his second year. We've seen what the Vikings have done to young quarterbacks this year, and Josh Rosen and Sam Darnold, and they did even against Carson Wentz. Heck, even against Drew Brees, they let him have 120 yards passing.
True.
So, they're going to throw some different looks at Trubisky and try and confuse him. I think they'll probably be able to get some easy turnovers. But the Vikings have to, play smart themselves because I don't think it's not going to be easy to get points against the Bears defense, especially on the road, especially at night. They do have 2 weeks to prepare, so that's good to get healthy and then to prepare for the Bears. I do think this game is very important. It might be the most important game left on their schedule. I know that they play the Patriots on the road, but that really doesn't play into the NFC playoff picture. Or
definitely no real playoff ramifications, and who cares if you get beat by the Patriots?
So if they get this win, which is on the road against an NFC North opponent, it sets themselves up pretty well to get that division. They do have to play the Packers and the Seahawks on the road, but then they play the Dolphins, Lions, and Bears.
Yeah.
So, oh my.
Beat me to it, brother. Beat me to
it. So it's going to be a tough game, but I think the Vikings they're getting people back at the right time. They're getting healthy at the right time. The defense is playing, the way it should at the right time.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to have Diggs probably back. They're going to have Thielen out there. They're going to have probably a Delvin Cook out there.
All of those things make me feel better. All of those things make me feel better. And they also, offensive line-wise, are getting healthier, which is so important. Especially
Brian O'Neill is looking good.
Howdy.
Yeah, he gave up no pressures yesterday. He's a rookie.
Showed a bit of a mean streak, knocking dudes over, and
I think Mike Remmers was the highest. I think it was Pro Football Focus that rated him as the highest guard yesterday, or highest offensive lineman on the Vikings yesterday.
I mean,
so
it's our cup runneth over.
Elfline's getting better. They just got to play smart. Like against the Saints, they could have beat the Saints.
Yes.
They didn't make those like few couple drives they made those mistakes.
That's what I was just going to say. So my biggest concerns heading into this game, one, Soldier Field, no thank you.
No.
Always play poorly. They always lose to teams they shouldn't lose to.
And they lose like 3 players to injury.
Oh, God, yeah, I didn't even think about that angle, but you're totally right. That always happens too. Other thing that worries me is this is like screaming another version of that Bills game where if they turn the ball over a couple of times early and that defense in Chicago could totally turn them over, that could all of a sudden it could be 21-0 before, the end of the first quarter.
Yeah, this Vikings team's been pretty good though at not letting like mistakes kind of haunt them for the rest of the game though. I feel like Kirk Cousins threw that interception yesterday, and he still just came out and firing. So there's some quarterbacks maybe in the past with the Vikings who would have just been discouraged for the whole game. Cough, Christian Ponder cough.
Yeah, would have affected everything else that they did.
Sam Bradford,
Speaking of Sam Bradford, real quick sidebar. Do you see he got cut today? Or released? It wasn't today, but yeah. He's no longer a member of the football team?
I missed that. I don't think I didn't see that. I would never read anything about Sam Bradford.
Do you know he's got a statue?
Yeah. He is like a world class robber, like
quarterback,
grand theft, larceny. I don't know, whatever.
Oh no, that's it. You nailed it. That's his nickname from now on. Grand Theft Bradford.
Oh my god,
Sammy Grand Theft.
But you know what? The Bills are probably going to sign him or something.
Oh yeah, he'll play again for sure. Somebody will take a chance on him.
And that's the thing with that's like Treadwell. Bradford was the first overall pick, so he's going to continue to get chances because of that. No matter how horrible he's looked for the past 2 years or how unhealthy he's been for the past 2 years, he's still going to get those chances because he was number 1 pick.
Yes.
But, there's Vikings fans out there who wanted to just re-sign Bradford this year, and they thought that would be a good idea. So how does that look so far?
Well, if they decide him to be Kirk Cousins' backup, then I'm good with that. I've been okay with it.
I'm not. What if Cousins gets hurt?
Yeah, okay. I don't.
Is Bradford really like? At this point in his career, is Bradford really that different from Trevor Siemian?
I mean, evidently not, judging by his performance.
Trevor Siemian has a job.
I was just gonna say.
I'd rather have Kyle Sloter than Sam Bradford or Slaughter or whatever his name is.
Slaughter.
Is he still on the team? Yeah, he's a third quarterback. He is. I think he's a third quarterback.
I thought somebody.
I don't know why they have 3 quarterbacks.
I'd see, and that's why I thought somebody signed him or something. Maybe I'm losing my mind. What else were we talking about? Okay, so the Bears, the flexing, the Sunday night. I think you nailed it. I think this might be the most important game on the schedule.
2 Sunday night games in a row, by the way.
Yeah, which is weird. And
Bears,
also,
and the Packers.
Bears Sunday night, flex to Sunday night, and then they that Thursday play again. So they have a short week on a flex. So that's kind of mean of the NFL to do, and I'm sure they're not happy about it. But I'm good with it because.
Yeah, but who are they playing? Probably like the Lions or something.
I think it is the Lions, actually. Yeah.
Ooh.
Team barn burner. If they don't win this game, do you think, I mean, obviously their chances are not gone. I mean, there's still a great chance that they could win the division still and still a great chance that they could go to the playoffs. But are we expecting a win here, or is this kind of a toss up? Do you think this is going to be a very tough win, or do you think the Vikings kind of flex and win big?
It's not going to be win big.
No, I don't think so either. I think it's going to be tight.
Well, yeah, it's a division game. It's on the road. They never play well at Soldier Field, no matter who the coach is, who the quarterback is, what the defense is doing. There's something about that venue. Mm-hmm. Just things go wrong in there. But yeah, I think it's important. If they lose, I still think they should be fine. I think if they win 2 of those 4 games out of the bye, at least 2, I think they're still in good shape because they're 2 of their final 3 games are at home. 2 of them are against the Lions and the Dolphins. So, but I think it's very important if they want to win the NFC North, and I think that's the route they should try and take, because the NFC right now, for those final 2 playoff spots, it looks like it's going to be a bloodbath, because you've got the Eagles, the Redskins, the Cowboys, the Falcons, the Panthers, the Seahawks, all these teams that are just still in the hunt for the playoffs. And
yes. It's it's definitely coming down to like the last game of the season, the last day of the season.
And especially with that tie on the record, that's either gonna come back to bite them or help them somehow.
Yeah.
But
I think that's why this game is so important, is because of the tie. You have to win. You're a game up on everybody then, except for the Packers, who you tied with. And if you can beat them, you should be in pretty good shape to win the division. I am worried about this Bears game, though, because I think it's very possible that they lose it. Obviously, they're not done, but I think it's very possible that they lose it.
I think the 2 weeks helps. The 2 weeks off helps.
Mm-hmm.
I think if it was only 1 week that they had to prepare, it'd be a much more unlikely scenario that they would come out with a win.
Yeah.
But I think the 2 weeks definitely helps. You give Mike Zimmer, he's one of those coaches where, you give him a couple extra days to prepare. He's going to take advantage of those days and make you regret it. So
I would completely agree with that. Shifting gears a little bit here. A lot of injuries on defense. Obviously, they're getting healthier. They're getting guys back. But the defense, to me, is looking a lot more like the defense that we got familiar with last year. Let's talk about that for a little bit. What are you seeing? I mean, obviously, the defensive line looked really good, but from a defensive perspective, I don't think we need to expect 10 sacks every game. But if we can expect some pressure from the defensive line, they should be in. I mean, that obviously makes it a lot easier for them to do everything else that they're trying to do, especially offensively. Right?
Well, and they're bringing pressure from everywhere this year. I feel like it's more, they're throwing a bunch of different guys out there. Harrison Smith's blitzing,
Mackenzie Alexander is
blitzing.
2 sacks already, 3 sacks, 2 sacks?
3 sacks, more than Anthony Barr. Their coverage has been well. Even if they give up a pass, they seem to be tackling guys right away, not giving up yards after the catch.
Yep.
If they don't really seem to be giving up big plays over these last couple of weeks, third down defense has been awesome like it was last year. I think they're on pace to do even better on third down than they were last year.
Yeah.
So, they got Griffin back. The defensive line is healthy. Rhodes is going to have another couple weeks to get healthy. Sendejo's going to be coming back. Not that I think that really matters.
You nailed it. I think this was the toughest stretch, I mean, injury-wise, probably, that they're going to face all season. So if there were questions about depth defensively, and there were, we kind of answered all of those. This was the stretch where if they were going to get killed on defense because of their depth, it was going to be during these last few games, and they're not getting killed. They're playing really well.
Weatherly's played well. Tom Johnson played well. I like how they're doing that defensive rotation, just keeping guys fresh.
Yeah,
that's something that they haven't been doing in the past. Holden Hill looks like he's not running around with his head cut off out there.
Super into how Holden Hill has been playing. He's been very impressive too.
Anthony Harris is looking good out there. I don't even think he played on defense yesterday, so they still have him as depth.
He's got to be so upset. He's given no comments to the press and stuff. I feel bad for dude that he's not getting more snaps.
If they win the Super Bowl, he's not going to be sad.
Yeah, he probably will be a little sad, but having a Super Bowl ring would be really cool.
But I think if he was to go to a team where he, if he was going to go to a team where he could either be a starter and play on a team that sucked, or he'd go on a team where, he might not, get on the field every week, but he was on a good team, I think he'd probably pick the good team over that. And
you'd think so, especially at this point in his career.
Yeah, but he's a player. Players want to be on the field, and they're going to get frustrated. But I think he's in a good situation right now, and the Vikings know if someone gets hurt, he can step right in and do a good job. So.
Definitely. And it should be noted that he basically has been given opportunities to complain to the media about it and has not taken those opportunities.
Yeah, he's not that type of
guy.
guy.
High road. Yeah, totally. I think that alone
he wouldn't have been. I don't think he would have been signed if he was that kind of guy.
Exactly. That gives you a little glimpse into what kind of player he is going forward. I like him. I wish he would play more. One guy who has been absent from all of this defensive conversation, injury, Barr. What is up with Anthony Barr? And nobody cares. Nobody's mad. Nobody's talking about it. Nobody's. When is Anthony Barr going to come back? Because it doesn't matter, Adam. I don't know if it matters.
His contract amount is getting lower and lower as each week goes by for next year. I threw this out on Twitter a little bit before about, at this point, I think the answer is obvious, but at this point next year, who do the Vikings try and re-sign, Anthony Barr or Sheldon Richardson? I think Richardson's the clear choice.
Yeah, I would agree with that. The only question to me becomes how much money is Sheldon Richardson going to want, because I feel like he could price himself out of that conversation.
Yeah, that and how hard is he going to play once he gets that big contract?
Yeah.
Because that's a factor. You look at guys in the past like Albert Hainsworth and stuff like that who got giant contracts and they just, cruise, as Mike Zimmer likes to say. That's someone else that we're just talking about likes to do sometimes.
Sure does.
But does the Vikings defense really look different with Anthony Barr not out there?
Not really. I have not noticed a glaring.
Sure, there's some aspects that are different, but
definitely, I'm sure that there are things that are being changed that we are not aware of because of him not being on the field. However, from a production standpoint, no, they're not drastic enough for me as a, film grinding guy to be able to really tell. I don't know. They seem like they're doing the same stuff to me.
And the Vikings are gonna have to. They're going to have to give Adam Thielen more money next year. He's not going to get paid $3 million a year anymore.
Yeah, they're going to have to pay him.
And, they're probably going to have to sign some guys for the offensive line. So,
yeah. Hard to imagine them paying a ton for an offensive.
Trey Wayne's salary next year is going to go up to $9 million. So, I just don't think Barr is going to be a Viking next year.
It sure feels like he would be the odd man out in that scenario. I mean, I'm not saying I want that to happen, but if you're and we talked about this too when the Cousins stuff was happening this offseason, because it was the big deal was that
they can't re-sign anyone.
Yes, it's going to be a cap issue. It's going to be a cap issue. You got to only pick two. You can't have all of them. You can only pick two. Well, it turns out we can keep a lot of them.
Oh, wait.
But
we can sign them.
Yeah, I don't know if Barr is on that list. And they'll probably prove us wrong, and they'll probably sign both of them, and BD and Brzezinski will do his thing, and and it won't be an issue. But better hope you don't need an offensive lineman in the middle of the season, because 1 point whatever in cap space ain't going to help you.
Yeah, I just don't think – I think the amount of money that they could use elsewhere is worth more than them spending on a linebacker. When linebackers aren't really even like that much of a commodity, I feel like in the NFL these days, you could probably just draft someone in the early couple rounds and get just as much production. I mean, Eric Wilson's undrafted, so
it sure feels like it's going the way of the running back, does it not? Where you can get a guy in the third or fourth round who's going to fill the role you need. You can have two guys to fill that spot.
A lot of teams don't play base defense anymore because they have to play the pass. So
yeah, exactly.
But the thing that drives me nuts is the Vikings drafted Barr as a pass rusher, and I ripped on him yesterday because Mackenzie Alexander has 3 sacks and Barr has none this year, and people are like, well, Barr's job isn't always to rush the passer. Well, neither is Mackenzie Alexander's.
Yeah,
he's a cornerback.
Yeah,
they didn't draft him because of his
job.
pass rushing ability. They drafted Barr because of that, and and he's injured. He's not able to get on the field. That's not a knock against him, but that's a factor in whether or not you want to keep a guy around. If he can't be on the field, then you're not going to want to bring him back.
And yeah, man, and then you start to talk about, his effort being questioned by the head coach, and you talk about, was he hurt or was he
There's
just
always something
bad for a full season? Every year there's something that we're like, well, here's why maybe he wasn't as good as he should have been.
He wears that weird like brace on his hand that no one still knows about.
Yeah, man. There's a lot of question marks about Mr. Anthony Barr.
He's got some moments though, like he's got a couple moments like once or twice a game where you're like, oh yeah, this is why they took him in the first round. But then you're like, yeah, but what else?
Well, it's tough because I feel like he has been the unfortunate, like, not beneficiary is the wrong way to say it, but he has been on the receiving end of a lot of bad plays. He has looked bad, and it wasn't always his fault, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Just because Anthony Barr is the last guy you see as they're going into the end zone doesn't mean that Anthony Barr was the reason that play is going into the end zone. But yeah, I mean, there are definitely, when you can compare with Anthony Barr to without Anthony Barr, and the defense is arguably playing better without.
Yeah, I don't even know if it's better, but just if they're playing the same, then what's the point of keeping a guy like that around?
For a lot of money, yeah.
For the amount of money you'd have to pay to keep him around. Let him go to the Rams or something or whatever, or the Chargers.
That would be terrifying if he was playing for the Rams.
I don't think the Rams can afford him, but but he's from the West Coast, so he'd probably want to go to the Raiders.
What do you think what do you think his price tag is going to be?
He's probably going to want around like $10 million a year, at least.
Yeah, that's going to be
if not more. But
that's going to be a tough pill.
Because at the same time, he's been to 3 Pro Bowls, so.
I mean. Yeah.
I mean, look how much money Jerick McKinnon just got. So
yeah, that's a great point. That's true. If Jack can get paid, Barr's definitely getting paid.
Speaking of money, the Vikings just look like rocket scientists every week that goes by, and Danielle Hunter is just destroying people, and he's like. If they didn't re-sign him this year, he probably could be like looking at $20 million a year for a contract next year. He's going to get paid $15
to get him the year before, and to be able to do that with like 3 different guys that wind up having career years the year after you sign him is pretty impressive. But Hunter especially is.
I think he only had like 4 or 6 sacks last year, but his pressures were like just right up there with Everson Griffin. So the Vikings knew that he's good, and he had a number of opportunities where like he probably just missed out on a sack.
Yeah, he was imposing his will on football.
They're like, we should re-sign him now because he's probably going to explode next year.
Oh man, he has been amazing. He had the like one-handed where he just like kind of bopped, like just whomp, and then Stafford fell over.
He only needs one hand.
No big deal for that guy. Have you seen his arms? Of course, he only needs one hand.
Remember that Jared Allen sack where he sacked Eli Manning when the offensive lineman was like in between him and Eli Manning, he just like grabbed his jersey and wouldn't let go of him. That was a great sack.
That was a great sack. I miss Jared Allen. He was fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Anthony Barr, I just have a tough time imagining him playing for the Vikings next season. I just don't see it. Unless he would want to take like a crazy discount to come back. But the way his relationship has been with these coaches and the way I just can't see that happening. This might be the end. And also, what did he hurt and why isn't he playing yet? Hamstring. Okay, well, I guess that makes more sense. Hamstrings are tricky.
They
just
are.
Ask Dalvin Cook.
I mean,
seemed to be good on the 70-yarder.
Yeah, I think he said, even though like I guess reportedly he ran like 22 miles an hour, which is like the fastest anyone's ran this year.
That's obscene.
He told Zimmer that wasn't even like full speed. Like he was keeping it in like third gear or whatever because he didn't want to risk it with the hamstring injury. I'm like, what? That was third gear.
22 miles an hour.
It sucks though because he got to like the 4-yard line, and
that was why he got caught.
I'm sure fantasy owners were like, ah.
And I saw that I think they ran the ball right after, but he was not in the game. It was too Latavius.
Yeah, I think that was when Thielen got his touchdown or something like that.
Oh yeah, it was. You're totally right. Yeah, man. From an offensive standpoint, the team really looks. You can tell they haven't hit their stride yet. And Dalvin Cook is. I forget because you don't see him for weeks at a time. But when he can hit that seam. And I mean, obviously he wasn't at full speed, evidently, but when he's going, I mean, he outruns
Look how much more the Vikings were able to do yesterday on offense, like screen wise and a couple other plays that they can't, really run with Murray out there, just because of, just the type of player he is, how he's more of a north-south kind of guy.
Yeah.
It just opens up the offense to be able to do so much more when you have a guy like Dalvin Cook out there, and it's a good sign that he's getting healthy for this stretch of the season, because we've talked about in the past, like, should they try and get him on the field, sooner than later? And it's like, no, they should make sure that he's healthy for the last third of the season for when they need him, because they had that stretch of games where they played the Jets and Cardinals and stuff where they didn't really need Dalvin Cook out there.
No, they really didn't. Were you disappointed is maybe the wrong word to use, but would you have played him against Detroit, or would you have just told him to sit out until after the bye week? I'd have told him to sit out. I would not have had him play.
No,
Ready or not.
Zimmer said, like, if you can play, you can play. We don't like to do that old bye week thing.
I get it, but
yeah, was it a risk? Yeah, it was a big risk, but you've got to see what your guys can do. Like,
yeah,
who's to say that if you rested him during the bye week and he came back against Chicago that he would be ready to go?
Oh yeah, well, and that's the thing too. I was going to say it's a risk, but everybody playing in the NFL is taking a risk by being out there. So, but assuming that he's not going to get hurt 1 week, or assuming that he is going to get hurt 1 week and not going to get hurt the next week, I mean, it's like
you can't just throw guys. Yeah, you can't not throw guys out there because you don't want them to get hurt playing football.
Yeah, it's a big part of playing football, unfortunately. But yeah. What else do we could probably wait until next week to do predictions for the Bears.
Yeah, that we can talk about next week. We talk about like some mid-season awards and stuff. And
sounds good to me.
The best and worst.
All
players.
The worst. Yes.
Those are always fun.
Best and worst celebration, touchdown celebration dances.
Did you happen to see Kirk Cousins' Skittles ad that he posted?
I did not. I have heard about it, but I have not seen it.
He might have been doing the dead arm dance with a bunch of those inflatable things behind him.
No big deal. Here's the question: conspiracy theory. Was it all about Skittles? What did he drop the dead arm dance because of the Skittles ad?
If that's the final goal, then I'm for it. I like Skittles. So
I'm not a big Skittles guy.
Wild Berry though, it's the purple pack. That's the way you gotta go. Actually, there's a seasonal pack.
Oh yeah, like tropical,
Great American or something like that. It's only around 4th of July.
Weird.
All great flavors like Yumberry, blueberry, strawberry.
Yumberry.
There's no lemon or lime in there or orange or anything like this. Oh wait, it's not even lime anymore. It's green apple. What the?
Yeah. See, man, I got no sweet tooth, but the way you talk about Skittles makes me want to have a sweet tooth.
I'm more of a Skittles and Starburst kind of guy than chocolate. I don't even really like chocolate.
So. See, I'm a peanut M&M all the way when I go. Mm-hmm. That's my jam.
Yeah, I don't really eat a whole lot of fruit, so I kind of feel like
that's you're getting your
either that or some apple cinnamon Cheerios.
Yeah, you got to get that part of the pyramid, the food pyramid. Do they still do the food pyramid? Kids these days? Probably not, huh?
Yeah, but it's like
different now.
It says the most you want to eat is bread. That's like the worst thing you could eat the most of.
That's like my entire diet is like spaghetti and bread.
Me too.
But it's the worst.
That food pyramid is so out of date.
It's so bad. Oh God. All right. Well, hey man, great place to end. Food pyramid. I guess
we didn't talk about Olive Garden, so that's good.
Yeah, that's good. Check it off the list. Well, does it count if we mention it? No, we won't count it.
Okay, we'll just get them as a sponsor.
Yeah, no big deal. Olive Garden, Skittles. I mean, that's a good list. I'll send the emails tonight, and I'll get back.
That would be great. If we got Olive Garden as a sponsor, I don't even care if they would give us a discount.
I was going to say, maybe if we just send them, if I send them an email, I bet we'll just get a gift card.
Well, that, or they'll send you like a little mint in the mail, like they give you.
Yeah.
After each meal.
All we're looking for is unlimited breadsticks whenever we want them.
Oh, forever. My God. Oh, yeah.
And
I don't need money. Just
for
give me
real.
pretzels.
And if you can talk to your buddy Red Lobster about getting some of those cheesy biscuits going on.
that's
Oh, whoa. Oh,
I live in San Diego. I don't need to go to Red Lobster. I can go to like a real seafood restaurant.
Excuse you, sir.
Yeah, where
Red
they
Lobster
just they go outside and they just fish, and then they come back and cook it. They don't need frozen fish everywhere.
Listen, man, we got a lot of lakes here.
Not to say that there isn't.
You don't
That's
dislike,
true.
but if you don't dislike mercury in your, then you're good to go. Then it's no problem.
But they do have Red Lobsters out here too. But I always like scoff at people when I see them walking.
Yeah, if real seafood is
you
an
live
option,
in San Diego.
you should just stand outside the Red
That's
Lobster.
like when people go to Taco
someplace
Bell
else.
out here. When people go to Taco Bell out here, I'm like, we're like 20 minutes away from Mexico. Like, you're going
Get
to
some
Taco
real
Bell.
food.
You don't think there's good Mexican food over here?
It's everywhere. See that little cart? You can get
God, and it doesn't give you diarrhea.
Whereas,
as fast.
Yes, exactly, as fast. Thank you for specifying. All right, that's a great place to stop diarrhea.
Yeah, Nick Swartzen would be proud.
That's right. All right, buddy. We'll see you next week.
Skull.
Skull Vikes.